Tomorrow, the House holds a hearing on drug safety. A proposed new bill aims to beef up post-approval drug safety by giving the FDA authority to make drug companies pull ads, strengthen warning labels, and conduct more studies. Would new regulation like this perhaps prevent another Avandia, the diabetes drug that is implicated in possible heart problems? Or could it impede important new drugs from reaching patients who need them? Joining me now, Bill Vaughn, Senior Health Policy Analyst at Consumers Union, and Sam Kazman, General Counsel at Competitive Enterprise Institute. Welcome, gentlemen. Bill, I'll start with you if I could. Why do we have a lot of rules and regulations that are now in place? Why do we need this particular one?
Because once a drug's approved, the FDA really has pretty limited authority to make sure that, the horse is out of the barn, that safety aspects get watched, and if there's a problem that's picked up, that the FDA can do something about it. It takes them a long time to get label changes. They ask for studies to be done to see if there's trouble with the drug that's been approved. The companies don't do it, and the agency doesn't have enough resources. In general, it's very weak once a drug's been approved.
Sam, what about that?
Well, I think the problem here is you've got the congressman reacting to headlines. And while stories about unexpected side effects from new drugs do get headlines, the big problem is stories about the flip side of the story, namely people who suffer or die because drugs are not available, do not get headlines. In fact, usually those stories don't even get written. And so the big risk here is that we have an outcome that forces FDA to be even more cautious. And now, while caution might sound like a good thing when it comes to an agency that can approve or disapprove new drugs that might save lives, overcaution can be just as deadly as lack of caution.
So in other words, you're saying that drugs might not get to market, or they will get to market much more slowly if indeed this bill goes through.
Absolutely, or they might be yanked. And I think we're talking about Avandia as if it's a closed story. It is a very open story. I do not think the story is anywhere near complete. Yes, you had a study in the New England Journal of Medicine and an accompanying editorial painting Avandia as being a very risky drug. On the other hand, Lancet, another medical journal whose reputation is just as good as that of the New England Journal of Medicine, found NEJM's approach here was totally irresponsible.
Okay. So, Bill, what about that? I mean, it is a very complicated subject, and would bills like this perhaps keep medicines from getting to market as quickly as they perhaps should? Or
No, there's nothing in this legislation that's on the approval of new drugs. And in fact, the FDA now is approving new drugs faster than Europe. In a life-saving drug that's really important, the average approval time is about 6 months. For most drugs, it's about 10 months. I'm sort of wowed.
Would it have a chilling effect, though?
No,
Okay.
This is after post-market approval, and I just would say the Washington Post has noted that the Institute gets money from pharma and probably from Pfizer, and I hope they get a lot of money because what you just heard is a really good regurgitation of the company line.
Let's have some more ad hominem attacks here. The point is, on this question of whether FDA is too fast or too slow, this past January we surveyed 160 orthopedic surgeons. In their view, 75% of them thought FDA is too slow in approving new therapies, not too fast. And 80% would like to see the drug Vioxx available once again, even though it's been yanked by its manufacturer.
You say that the members are reacting to headlines. They're reacting to dead constituents. They're reacting to people who have died needlessly because the FDA has not been aggressive enough or had the legal authority to get the consuming public information about side effects on drugs that are dangerous.
Once again, if you dig into the mechanics and timeline of that study on Avandia in the New England Journal of Medicine, it looks like people on the Hill, congressmen, were clued into what was happening. It looks like this entire thing was timed to create both headlines and some attention-grabbing congressional hearings, and I suspect that's exactly what we're going to have tomorrow.
Well, okay, you get the final word.
That's an ad hominem because the FDA failed to act aggressively for 8 years. We had 8 years of warning on a drug, and there are other safe drugs out there that we didn't have to put diabetics at risk for.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll see what happens tomorrow in Washington.
Thank you.
Street signs just a few minutes away. Here's Aaron to tell us what's